From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30. Streaming now.
Now at 5:30, Knowing No Limits, a celebrity mother's message about her son with special needs and what she wants all parents to hear. Chris.
Topping our lineup as unemployment remains historically high, we're looking at what's next for the job market when we could see more hiring and the skills you need for those in-demand jobs. And the industries where experts say the most successful career shifts are happening, plus different types of barriers are going up everywhere amid this pandemic. But do they actually protect you from COVID? We are getting answers on what really makes a difference.
First at 5:30, October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. About 6,000 babies are born every year with Downs, and Grammy Award-winning singer and actress Stephanie Mills joins us with a message for you. Mills' son wrote a book. It's called The Adventures of Farad J. The young man who's homeschooled showed his skills for storytelling by writing a children's book. WRTV's Rafael Sanchez spoke to his mom, Stephanie Mills, via Zoom.
Oh, Farad, this is wonderful. If you finish the book, I'll publish it for you as a birthday gift. And that's what happened. We published it as a birthday gift, and he writes all the time.
He's a special young man who happens to have Down syndrome. Down syndrome does not define him. But what do you want people to know about this amazing young man who's an author?
You know, I was 45 when I became pregnant with Farad. I was told to abort and to that he wouldn't smile, he wouldn't do anything that was what we call normal. But I didn't care because I felt like if my son had one eye, I was going to have him and we were going to rock this world together. So now he's an A student. He's written a book. I want parents to know, with people with special babies, there are special babies and they're gifts. And don't just toss them aside. Don't listen to doctors tell you that they can't do anything. Because I never put limitations on my son. There's no glass ceiling. I mean, he can go. Just the other day, he told me he wanted to be president. You know, I would help him become president. You just never know.
If I read the book, The Adventures of Farad J., what do you want parents to learn from that young man's book?
His sense of humor, his sense of love and people. And he loves to do pranks. He loves to have fun. Just like his mom. I used to do pranks when I was in the Wiz, you know, and do a lot of things to people to just have fun and laugh. So they will come away just with laughter.
Again, the wonderful Stephanie Mills, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay safe.
Farad's book is currently on sale online at faradjm.com. And this Saturday, Down Syndrome Indiana hosts its annual Buddy Walk virtually. Please join them and support them this weekend. Their website for details is dsindiana.org. Kyle.
It has definitely been a soggy day across central Indiana, but as we look north out of downtown, you see a sliver of some sunshine. And the good news is eventually the sun is going to win out here as we go into the next couple of days. We still have some rain to get through, though. And as we look, we've had a couple of bands here over the last 24 hours of 1 to 2 inches of rain, and some southern locations between about 2 and 3 inches of rainfall. Fortunately, because we had the dry weather as of late, that has really kind of soaked into the ground pretty well. But there you can see the back edge of the rain already drying out in Crawfordsville. Still some showers and even a pocket of moderate rain moving through here in southeastern portions of Boone County. That'll slide into southern Hamilton County as well. And then we've got some more steady rain stretching back into Martinsville. Here's a look at TrueCast as we go through the next couple of hours. We will see that pretty quickly moving south and east of here by 9 o'clock. Much of the WRTV area should be nice and dry. 46, though, it is going to be cool with that north breeze at 9 miles per hour. Temperatures this evening not going to fall too far. We're in the middle 40s at 10 o'clock. Overnight lows, though, will be in the 30s as that north wind continues at 10 to 15 miles per hour. We'll take a look at the next chance for any rain in that 7-day planning forecast in just a few minutes. Chris?
You know, we have 225,000 deaths. The modeling tells us we're going to get 100 or more thousand as we get into the winter. That is just something that's unacceptable, Howard.
The country's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, is concerned about the rise in cases. He says the country never hit a low enough baseline before reopening. Now, he doesn't want the U.S. to shut down again, but he also says don't count on herd immunity moving forward.
No one really knows what herd immunity is for this disease, but let's assume it's around 70% or so. You know how many deaths you're going to have before you get there? That's an unacceptable pathway. We get to herd immunity from a vaccine.
Dr. Fauci says solutions to preventing the spread can be low tech, like wearing masks. He does point to success in places like Melbourne, Australia, where they put in curfews, travel restrictions, and fines for violating rules and not wearing masks in public. In a little over 100 days, they brought down their case numbers to 0.
Look at the data. It speaks for itself. We're in a very difficult situation, and countries that have done it the other way have done it and been successful. So let's put aside these extraordinary excuses for not doing it when we're dealing with a situation that's not trivial.
Now, when a vaccine's ready, Dr. Fauci says he'll take a look at the vaccine data himself, but he also trusts those who are responsible for approval. Let's start the news feed. A knife attack in France killing 3 people inside a church. The French president is now more than doubling the amount of soldiers deployed in the country to prevent against attacks, because this was the 3rd attack in 2 months. The French authorities say is related to Muslim extremists. Philadelphia police say they will release 911 tapes and body camera footage in connection to a shooting death of a black man. Now, there have been protests after the death of Walter Wallace. Police say he approached them with a knife and has a history of mental health issues. The Supreme Court is letting election officials accept absentee ballots in Pennsylvania and North Carolina several days after the election. A lower court ruling allowed North Carolina to accept ballots 9 days after the election. In Pennsylvania, they will accept up to 3 days after November 3rd. Well, we have more in our lineup. As unemployment remains historically high, we're taking a look at what's next for the job market and when we could see more hiring and the skills that you need for those in-demand jobs. The number of people filing for unemployment continues to be historically high. Last week, 751,000 people applied for unemployment benefits for the first time. It's slightly better than what analysts predicted.
We're seeing some people get hired, but not as many as we'd like. It's almost like we're running at half speed here, or running through water.
Now, we're taking a look at what's next for the job market right now. It is the first issue in our 3-part series on hiring as we help you get back to work and find new opportunities. The chief economist at LinkedIn says it will likely be next year before we start to hit unemployment levels that feel more reasonable.
So if you find that you have the ability to acquire a skill, go for it. Whether you go back to your old role, if that becomes available, or whether you go into a new role, it never hurts to have an additional skill.
LinkedIn has been tracking the jobs that have seen consistent growth over the last few years that they predict will continue to grow based on employer demand. They predict 150 million new tech jobs globally will be created over the next 5 years. The specific jobs expected to continue to be in demand include customer service specialist, digital marketer, data analysts, and IT support.
And what you'll see from that is a lot of those roles are looking for some level of digital skills. Digital skills generally are really in demand. And we just think that the technology sector is going to be this undercurrent across all of the labor market. And I don't mean everyone's going to be a software engineer, but I do mean everyone is going to have some level of digital fluency.
She expects all jobs will be upskilling slightly in terms of the level of technology you're required to know something about. LinkedIn does have some free courses that could be a way to gain those new skills. All right, next in our lineup, with how the job market is currently, millions of people are switching careers. The industries where experts say the most successful career shifts are happening. One of the areas seeing the most impact from coronavirus is travel. Airlines have been especially hard hit, with people worried about whether it's safe to travel by plane. Some airlines are now offering COVID testing before certain flights, but as Maya Rodriguez reports, airports are now taking big steps to help ease travelers' fears.
The fight against COVID-19 is taking off in a new direction, headed for the friendly skies.
We wanted to be able to instill confidence in the traveling public that, in fact, it is safe to travel.
Tucked away in a corner of the main terminal at Tampa International Airport sits this coronavirus testing center. This month, Tampa's airport became the first in the country to offer 2 types of COVID-19 tests to the flying public. The tests are administered by medical personnel from Baycare Health System.
There's a lot of people who are asymptomatic carriers, and we don't want to inadvertently go and expose a loved one or a family member.
While the tests are required for traveling to certain international destinations, it can also help people who are traveling here within the U.S. by helping them to avoid a 14-day quarantine if they test negative for the virus.
Me and 3 other girlfriends are going on a girls' trip.
Anissa Rashad is heading to Puerto Rico and needed a COVID test to do so.
It's required in order for you to enter into San Juan within 72 hours prior to your travel day. So, and I've been tested several times just to make sure.
The 2 tests offered include the $57 rapid coronavirus antigen test with results in 15 minutes and the more accurate $125 PCR test, which uses a nasal swab with results within 2 days. Both tests are covered by most insurance.
Heaven forbid, if someone does test positive, we tell them to go home and quarantine. We tell them what the results are. We then are obligated by law to notify the Department of Health for Hillsborough County, which is the county that we're in.
Earlier this year, passenger numbers cratered at airports across the country, down more than 90% here in Tampa alone.
This is the worst impact that we've seen to travel.
But now the number of people flying is starting to tick back up heading into the holiday season. The testing center open at a time when it could become vital.
We hope that other airports replicate this.
In the hopes of ensuring that people remain the only thing airborne at 36,000 feet. In Tampa, Florida, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
Maya, thank you. And since Tampa's airport opened their testing site, several others have followed suit, including Oakland, Boston, and New York. United Airlines is rolling out free COVID tests for some flights to London. That will start next week. Passengers flying out of Newark will be required to take a test. Now, even if they are negative, they will not be able to avoid a 14-day quarantine once they get to London. United says it hopes the free tests will help jumpstart international travel. On-site tests with other airlines can cost as much as $250. All right, let's start the news feed. Cyber criminals are trying to lock up hospital information systems. Federal agencies put out a warning this week. They are worried about patient care as COVID cases spike. The government is looking to replace the lottery that decides which foreign professionals receive visas every year. The Trump administration wants to replace it with a process to give priority to those with the highest paying jobs. There's a 30-day comment period on the proposal. Now, Major League Baseball launching an investigation into Justin Turner of the Dodgers. The third baseman violated protocols when he celebrated with his team after they won the World Series. He was pulled from that final game during the 7th inning after being told that he tested positive for coronavirus.
The pandemic has put a lot of new movies on hold, but there's a lot of new content on streaming sites coming next month. Consumer reporter John Matteries with an inside look so you don't waste your money.
In case you haven't noticed, there aren't many new movies during this pandemic, but if you have streaming TV, there are a bunch of new flicks and series to keep you entertained through November. Time to warm up the big screen TV. MarketWatch.com says Disney Plus may be must-see TV this November. The service has just launched a new season of The Mandalorian. Plus, it has the remake of the space flick The Right Stuff. Netflix launches The Crown Season 4 on November 15th, and it'll premiere the movie Hillbilly Elegy, filmed locally in Middletown. At Apple TV Plus, you have the new Bruce Springsteen documentary, Letter to You, and Apple has all the Charlie Brown holiday specials that are now gone from network TV. Amazon Prime Video has the new Borat subsequent movie film. And HBO Max has Nicole Kidman's The Undoing series and The Flight Attendant starring Kaylee Cuoco. Yes, all these services have a monthly fee, but Apple TV Plus is free if you buy an iPhone this year, so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matteries, WRTV.
And today, some good weather to stay inside and watch a little TV. We've got those rain showers still across central and southern portions of Indiana, but we are going to start to see those moving on out of here. Temperatures, though, reflect where we've got the wet weather, only in the 40s. Indianapolis at 46, same for you in Columbus. Had a chance to dry out a little bit more here around Lafayette. You're 10 degrees warmer in the middle 50s. Here's a close look at the satellite and radar, and there you can see the back edge of those showers now clearing the Greencastle area, moving through Brownsburg and around Fishers. You'll get a brief kind of burst here of some moderate rainfall, and then that should be about it for you. Shelbyville into Columbus, you got a couple more hours of some rain, but the rain will come to an end tonight. And look at temperatures. It's going to be chilly, down to 37 degrees by tomorrow morning. morning. And as we look at the Friday forecast here, I do think we see a little bit of sunshine coming back into the area as we go through the afternoon. And those temperatures, they remain cool, only in the 40s. We warm up just a little bit here on Saturday at 56. And Saturday does look like it will be a sunny day before we get into Sunday with more temperatures in the 40s there, and it will be a little windy as well. But the Halloween forecast as we get into Saturday evening, really not bad here. A little breezy at times, but we will be dry. Temperatures in the lower 50s by 7 o'clock in the evening, and then those gusty winds on Sunday will be around 30 miles per hour, and that again holds temperatures in the 40s. 40s again on Monday with sunshine. You notice it is a dry forecast and temperatures starting to recover and warm up. We're into the middle 60s for highs Wednesday and Thursday. Chris?
Today marks Latina Equal Pay Day. This is how far into the new year Latinas have to work in order to make the same amount of money white men earned the previous year. Today, Latinas earn, on average, just 55 cents for every dollar white men make. According to the National Women's Law Center, this puts Latina women in last place on the equal pay gap. Over the span of 40 years, Latinas lose more than $1 million due to the wage gap. Changing jobs might feel out of the question, but as Alicia Nieves shows us, millions of people have made a career switch over the past 7 months and are happy with their decision.
When mandated closures were forced upon most businesses in March,
the owner of the business laid us all off.
Kai Lindemann was a chef at a fine dining restaurant in Washington, D.C., who suddenly became unemployed.
I'm not a person that does well when I have nothing to do or work on, so I immediately enrolled in classes at the local community college.
As restaurant closures lingered far longer than the initial 2-week expectation, Lindemann began to reevaluate his 10-year career in the kitchen.
At this stage in my life, I was starting to think, what does the future look like? Am I going to find myself 40, 50 years old, still working in the restaurant industry, working these insane hours?
And would that be wise, given the volatility of the industry? So he decided to make the change. Trading his kitchen knives for a calculator, he began accounting classes and got a job at an accounting firm.
I don't know that I would have made the leap right now if it wasn't for the shove off the cliff provided by COVID.
Lindemann is among millions of Americans making similar leaps. A new poll shows roughly 2 out of 3 people who lost their jobs during the pandemic have switched careers.
I think it's really a shocking statistic for many people because they think, well, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Now is not the time for a career shift. But I've told lots of people, including those within our staffing agency, that now is the perfect time.
As the CEO of the staffing agency Black Girl Group, Stephanie Caudle is helping many get back into the workforce by making a new career shift.
Now is the time for, the millions of Americans out there who, for whatever reason, feel like they have settled for jobs that maybe they didn't necessarily like, really start embracing the things that they really do want to do.
Like with Lindemann, she is seeing the most successful transitions into the finance industry, into paralegal work, and the tech sector, especially transitions into computer coding for people who have little to no experience. But it is worth noting, not everyone is able to make this switch, especially many of the people Lindemann worked side by side with in the kitchen.
There are so many immigrants, documented or otherwise, that it just flat out would not be an option for.
I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
Alicia, thank you. Ibotta is launching a program this weekend that may help you get cash back on Thanksgiving staples. Ibotta is a cash back shopping app. The app will offer users 100% cash back on 9 Thanksgiving items if you purchase them at Walmart. That includes Butterball brand turkey, mashed potatoes, and Coke. Now, finally in our lineup, different types of barriers are going up everywhere amid this pandemic. But here's the question, do they actually protect you from COVID? We're going to get some answers on what really makes a difference. Well, maybe it's at the counter at the grocery store, maybe a student's desk at school. Barriers just like these made out of plexiglass are pretty common now, but the question is, how effective are they? Do they prevent coronavirus droplets from invading our space? We spoke with a researcher at the University of South Carolina who says the answer isn't so straightforward.
But before we put it on, it would be a good idea to check to see, okay, is my ventilation within the room optimum? How many people are going to be there? Who is going to be facing whom? If there is a general understanding of the orientation of the occupants within the room, where are the vents and where are the exits?
Airflow is the biggest factor when it comes to the spread of the virus. Shamia Hawk says it's comparable to cigarette smoke, and if we don't set up these barriers correctly, those air particles could become trapped. Now, plexiglass appears to be the most common type of barrier used these days, but it doesn't mean it should be the only material that's used. Many are getting creative and finding different ways to divide up space, but experts do say if we use flimsy items like curtains or plastic trash bags, that may not be very effective.
Anything that can be used in terms of, okay, is it easy to put on? Is it easy to clean? Those materials. It would be maybe something that absorbs too much may not be a good idea because it will be harder to vacuum it off. Similar to if you have a carpeted floor and it's harder to get a carpet clean than it is to clean up a wooden floor.
Now, at the end of the day, Hawk says the ways the barriers are used is important, but is actually more important than just what the material is that's used. So for so many people, voting is one of the most important things that they are doing right now, and that has led some people to make some big travel plans in order to make it happen.
It was just so important to me that I not be a victim. And so I flew 1,600 miles to vote.
How about that? Tomorrow, the stories of people who are not letting distance or missed absentee ballots stop their voice from being heard.
Overall, the next 4 days for us going to be fairly cool with highs generally in the 40s, especially by Monday morning. We got a low of 26. Things do warm up next week, though, as we've got highs in the mid 60s by Wednesday. Thanks for joining us at 5.